friends, this is Meenakshi. Welcome to yet another episode of Soccer Stories. Today, let's go through the interesting events that took place in the 2010 World Cup. FIFA was widely criticized when it had voted in favor of the German bid for the 2006 World Cup, quite narrowly overlooking the claims of South Africa. But as the bidding opened for the 2010 World Cup, the world body perhaps have learned the mood of the majority of its members restricted the bids to only African nations. Taking advantage of this, three countries came forward: South Africa, Egypt and Morocco. Finally, it befell on the South Africans to take the World Cup for the first time to the once dark continent, and the 3-foot horn, the vuvuzela, became quite a phenomenon, giving a unique atmosphere to the global event, though it was annoying to some. It was the first World Cup in which the defending champion was not granted an automatic entry, though South Africa as host gained automatic qualification. France, the runners-up in 2006, gained selection through a controversial goal. The French captain Thierry Henry had handled the ball in the lead up to the late goal, which eliminated Ireland in the playoffs. There was widespread protest and condemnation against the goal. FIFA didn't heed to Ireland's request to replay the match, and Ireland later withdrew the request to be included as the 33rd nation in the World Cup. Slovakia and Serbia qualified for the first time as independent nations, while North Korea was back for a second time since 1966. Slovakia and Serbia qualified for the first time as independent nations, while North Korea was back for a second time since 1966 World Cup. Notable absentees included Sweden, Croatia and last World Cup's quarter-finalist Ukraine. European champion Spain, after years of underachieving at the World Cup, finally won the title after scoring a 1-0 win over the Netherlands in extra time. Spain became the first European nation to win the World Cup outside Europe, and thus breaking the tradition of South American countries winning the titles in other continents. Argentina attracted many eyeballs even before the start of the tournament. The 1986 World Cup winning captain and football legend Diego Maradona was in charge of the South Americans. The squad was pretty experienced, with key players playing their trade in major leagues around the world. Lionel Messi was widely regarded as the best player in the world and central to Argentina's fortunes in the World Cup. Spain, with their brand of possession-based style of play known as tiki-taka, had firmly established themselves as the pre-tournament favourites after winning the European title in 2008. The style had worn down the opposition in Euro 2008 and in the qualifiers, and Spain looked primed up to end its poor record in World Cup. However, the biggest surprises of group play were the elimination of the defending champion and runners-up from the competition. Italy, the reigning champions, and France, the runners-up, finished last in their respective groups, falling to win a single match in the tournament. However, the biggest surprises of group play were the elimination of the defending champion and runners-up from the competition. Italy, the reigning champions, and France, the runners-up, finished last in their respective groups, falling to win a single match in the tournament. France's humiliation was complete when they lost to host South Africa in Group A. The only point they managed came in a draw against Uruguay. The South Americans advanced as group winners after scoring wins over Mexico and South Africa. Mexico edged out South Africa on goal difference and qualified as the second best team. Argentina didn't start off well and lumbered off to a narrow win against Nigeria. After an early goal from Gabriel Heinze, the Argentinians struggled to find the net again as the Nigerian goalkeeper Vincent Enyeme made a string of good saves to deny them any further goals. However, a hat-trick by Higuain inspired them to a 4-1 win over South Korea. The South Americans then beat Greece 2-0 to complete their league engagements with an all-win record. South Korea beat Greece 2-0 and drew with Nigeria to finish second in the group and qualified for the second round. England and the United States squared off in Group C, which was the first meeting between the two sides in 60 years. The match ended in a 1-1 draw with both goals coming in the first half. The result was a moral victory for the US, which had upset England 1-0 in 1950. The United States came back from behind to hold Slovenia. The US were drawn 1-2 when less than 10 minutes remained for the match to end. Bradley scored the equalizing goal in the 82nd minute for the US. England was held to a goalless draw, which meant the last set of league matches was crucial, with all four sides having an outside chance of progressing to the next round. England managed a solitary goal win over Slovenia, while the US also beat Algeria by the same margin. USA finished at the top of the group on goal difference. Ghana qualified for the knockout round from Group D for the second consecutive time. The African nation pipped Australia on goal difference to qualify behind Germany, which stuttered to the top after losing unexpectedly to Serbia. Netherlands and Japan qualified from Group E. The Dutch won all their matches to become the second team after Argentina to possess an all-win record. Japan beat Denmark and Cameroon comprehensively to qualify for the second round for the first time after 2002. Defending champion Italy's surprise exit from the first round was the biggest upset in Group F. The Italians had a lukewarm start to the campaign, drawing both their matches against Paraguay 1-1 and New Zealand 1-1. They needed to win against Slovakia in the last round, but the Italians struggled against Slovenians and were down by 2 goals at the start of the last quarter. They managed to pull a goal back through Di Natale in the 81st minute. The frantic finish to the contest saw 2 more goals, with Kopnik increasing Slovakia's lead in the 89th minute. Fabio scored a consolation goal for Italy during stoppage time. Slovakia's win enabled them to qualify from the group as the second best team behind Paraguay, which topped the group with 5 points. New Zealand, making their first appearance since 1982, drew all their matches. Group G pitted 5-time champions Brazil and Portugal against each other. North Korea and Ivory Coast were the other teams in the group. In the opening round matches in the group, Brazil could only manage a 2-1 win over North Korea, while Ivory Coast held Portugal to a goalless draw. In the second round, Brazil gave a much improved display to beat Ivory Coast 3-1 to ensure qualification, while Portugal crushed North Korea 7-0. The marquee match in the group between Brazil and Portugal ended in a goalless draw, and both sides qualified for the second round. Ivory Coast crushed North Korea 3-0 for a consolation win. Switzerland stunned Spain, the tournament favourite, by a solitary goal in Group H. However, the Swiss, after that rousing start, faded away, losing to Chile 0-1 and flattered to deceive against Honduras. Spain recovered from their earlier reverse to score a 2-0 win over Honduras. The Spaniards managed to ward off a stiff challenge from Chile 2-1 to qualify as group winners. Though both Spain and Chile finished with 6 points apiece, Spain won the group for having a better goal difference. Though form played true in most of the pre-quarter final matches, Ghana provided the twist, prevailing over the United States 2-1 in extra time and to become the third African nation after Cameroon and Senegal to enter the quarterfinals. Paraguay defeated Japan 5-3 on penalties to enter the quarterfinals for the first time, whereas Spain defeated Portugal by a solitary goal. Brazil won the all-South American encounter with a convincing 3-0 win over Chile. The Germany, England and Argentina-Mexico matches were marred by referee errors. The young German outplayed England 4-1, but the talking point was a disallowed goal scored by Frank Lampard. England had clawed back into the game through Upson's goal after being ripped out by the Germans in the opening minutes. England thought that they had equalized when a looping shot by the Englishman had crossed the goal line as seen on TV replays. However, the referee and linesman failed to notice it and waved play on. Germans, with their brilliant counter-attacking strategy, scored 2 more goals in the second half to complete a resounding win. Argentina scored a dominant 3-1 win over Mexico, but the third goal by Carlos Tevez was scored from a seemingly offside position. The linesman failed to notice the breach and the goal stayed. The much anticipated quarter-final between Germany and Argentina turned out to be an anticlimax. Germany slaughtered a numb Argentina 4-0 to move into the semi-finals. It was Germany's incisive counter-attacking football which blew away the South Americans and ended Diego Maradona's dream to follow in the footsteps of Mario Zagallo and Frank Beckenbauer. The Netherlands came back from behind to topple Brazil 2-1 in the quarterfinals. A defeat looked remote when Brazil went ahead in the 10th minute, but Netherlands fought back and Wesley Sneijder scored a brace in the second half to stun the South Americans. Uruguay, however, kept the South Americans' flag flying high by entering the semi-finals for the first time since 1970 with a 4-2 via the shootout in the round of last 8. Spain made a quiet progress into the semi-finals after scoring a 1-0 win over Paraguay in the last quarter-final. David Villa once again scored the match winner in the 83rd minute after the European champions struggled to break the resolute defense of Paraguay. Both teams also flung a penalty each in the space of 4 minutes in the second half before the match was decided. The Dutch got better of Uruguay 3-2 in a pulsating contest to enter the final for the first time after 1978. A 35-yard scorcher from Dutch captain Giovanni van Bronckhorst put the Dutch into the lead in the 18th minute. However, Diego Forlan with a 25-yard strike restored parity in the 41st minute. In the second half, the attacking Dutchmen were rewarded when Sneijder scored in the 70th minute and Robben increased the tally in the 73rd minute. Maxi Pereira converted a free kick in the 92nd minute as Uruguayans went down fighting. The Germans, after their dazzling display against Argentina in the quarterfinals, were strangely subdued against Spain. They allowed the Spaniards to dominate possession and relied on their ability to counterattack. Both sides created chances in the first half, and the breakthrough goal came in the 73rd minute for Spain through Carlos Puyol, who headed in a corner taken by Xavi. Spain entered the World Cup final for the first time in the history of competition. The final turned to be a battle of attrition and was marred by frequent stoppages. The English referee, Howard Webb, had to flash the yellow card on 14 occasions. Dutch defender John Heitinga became the 5th player in the history of the World Cup to receive a red card in the final. Heitinga was sent off in the 109th minute for his second bookable offence. 4 minutes later, Spain sealed the win through Iniesta's goal. Iker Casillas, the Spanish captain, made the most important save in the tournament when he denied Arjen Robben in a 1-1 situation towards the end of the first half. Robben again had a clear chance to put it past Casillas in the second half, but the striker delayed his shot in another 1-1 and the keeper was able to intercept the ball and deflect it away. Spain too had their chances to wrap up the contest during regular time but failed before the match went into extra time. Spain cashed on to their numerical advantage after Heitinga's sent-off and substitute Fabregas found an unmarked Iniesta inside the box. The striker took a one-touch and clattered a shot to Stecklenburg's far post for the winning goal. Stay tuned to Striking Seconds for more soccer stories and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. Hasta la vista.